Good morning, students. So today we are starting with the new chapter which is from the subject economics, and this is lecture 1 of chapter number 2, sectors of the Indian economy, class 10th, subject economics. So in economics we have studied about chapter number 1 which was about development, and in this lecture and in this chapter basically we are going to study about economy and different sectors of the Indian economy that are there. So the topics that we are going to cover in this particular lecture will be about what is economy. Basically I am going to tell you what is economy. Then we will classify all these Indian economic sectors on the basis of primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. Then we will discuss about how do we count the various goods and services and know the total production in each sector. So how you can count on the various goods and services that are produced in a year, and about the total production in each sector, how you can calculate it. So, and as a homework I am going to assign you a test that we have just completed before this chapter, which is from the subject history, about the rise of nationalism in Europe. I am going to assign you a test and you have to do that, and it will be there on the website itself. It will not be there here, so you can check it from there and do it. So we are starting with the chapter now. Sectors of the Indian economy. So firstly in this, if you want to know something about, you should always be clear about the basic concepts, and in here it is about economy. So when you study about economy, what does economy basically mean? So it is a kind of a framework in which economic activities that take place, and therefore they are giving income in return. So basically economy is a kind of a framework in which we are doing certain economic activities, and from where we are generating our earning or our income. So like in some professional courses, like I'm doing teaching here and I'm teaching you. So basically this is my profession, what I'm doing, and from this I'm being paid from the institution I'm working in. So it is a kind of a framework that we all are working in, and we are doing certain economic activities. I am doing teaching. There may be some other persons who will be in IT department, doctor, teachers are there, then they are a businessman. So they have their own kind of framework, and they are doing their own economic activities to generate income. So all the economic activities we are doing, they take place to give income in return basically. So if you want to take another example, you can take example of a computer engineer also from an IT department. They are certainly creating softwares, and from which they are earning their profit and making money from their work. So economy works like this only, that we are giving them our services, we are doing certain economic activities to give them profit also and to generate income for ourselves also. So this is how economy works. Now it is divided into various sectors also. So how can you classify it? So here we will discuss about the classification of the Indian economic sectors. So basically, if you want to classify these Indian economic sectors, it is categorized into 3 categories. Basically 3 categories on which we can classify it. Firstly, Indian economy you can classify into various sectors, firstly on the basis of their ownership. In ownership, if you are talking about, so in ownership, all the people who have their own businesses, like their own companies, like Reliance is there, then Hindustan Times is there, or boss, and there are many companies, many businessmen who have their own companies. So they are the sole owner of their own business, they are earning their profit. Or maybe some sectors like small retail sectors who have their own retail shops. So particularly everyone have their own kind of work to do. So basically it can be for the public sector also and for the private ones also. So when we talk about on the basis of ownership, Indian economy can be classified into public sectors, which is working for the public, and for the private sectors, who are their private companies and earning for their own profits. Then it can be classified into the working condition of the workers. So basically the working condition of the workers can be classified from their organized and unorganized sectors. So there are majorly some organized sectors, the IT sectors and all the professional sectors, they are quite organized, but there are certainly many unorganized sectors as well. And on the thirdly, it is divided on the nature of the activity they are doing. So certainly there are many activities they are doing, but the nature of every activity is different from one another. So it is divided into three categories, which is primary, secondary and tertiary sector. So in this particular lecture we will study about this only, on the basis of nature of activity in the Indian economy, which is primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. So if we classify the activity on the nature, so the economic activities, they are classified into groups. They are using some economic criterion, and these groups are known as the sectors of the economy. Like people around us, they are engaged in different activities. I am teaching here, many will be doing some other activities. So they are generating and they are earning for their own livelihood. Some may be producing goods while others may be delivering their services. So like we are taking a pizza service here. Many are making the pizza, many are delivering the pizza, and many are brought the products from which the pizza will be making. So if the raw material, the material will be not there, and you can't make pizza. So the raw material should be there, that come under one category. Now those who are making it, they are coming in the second category, and those who are delivering it, they come in the third category. So this is how all the activities are different from each other, and they are also divided under different categories. So the classification on the basis of nature of activities is divided into three sectors, which is primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. So how you can differentiate these three categories, we'll study here. Firstly, we will discuss about the primary sector. So basically there are many activities that are undertaken directly using the natural resources. For example, if you here all the economic activities which are connected from the extraction and the production of the natural resources. So basically what we are doing, you are taking all the raw materials from the natural earth. We are extracting all the natural resources what we want from the earth, and we are basically producing it also, like all the crops that we are producing, or from the sea we are taking the fish, and mining activities we are taking the mineral from there. Basically we are extracting or producing these natural resources. All these activities, that economic activities we are doing, these activities come under the private sector, from where we are extracting and producing the natural resources. If you would want to take some examples, you can take example from agriculture, dairy farming, or fishing, forestry. So these are few of the activities which come under this category, and this sector is also called agriculture and related sector. So you can call this particular sector as agriculture or related sector. Now the second sector which come under this is secondary sector. So the secondary sector covers all the activities in which these natural products are changed into other forms through ways of manufacturing that we associate with industrial activities. So now these raw materials are now given to these factories and manufacturing companies to produce the products for the consumers. So it comes under the second categories where the pizza will be in the making process. So now you are processing in this particular process, it is the basically the next step after the primary sector, and the product is not produced here. We are not producing this by some natural things, but we are using it has to be made, and therefore some process of manufacturing is essential. So this could be in a factory or in a workshop or at home. So basically we are in this category, we are not producing anything, we are manufacturing it. We are making the main product where it should be delivered to the consumers. So we are using we can make these in some factories where machines are used, man-made human resources are used, and then it can be done in some workshops also or at home also. If you want to take example of some natural product that we are taken, like in if you have a cotton factory and you're producing cotton, so the raw material you are taking cotton as in a primary sector, then it comes to a secondary sector for manufacturing, and then it goes to the next sector. So here, before you want to if you want to have a business of cotton, you should have the all the raw material, then you have to manufacture it, and then you can transfer it to the other sectors. Now this is how secondary sector works. Now the third category, which comes after primary and secondary sector, there is a third category of activity which falls under tertiary sector, and it is quite different from the primary and secondary. And these two activities that help in the development of the primary and secondary sector. So these activities, they do not produce a good, but they are an aid or a support for the production process. For example, if goods that are produced in the primary or secondary sectors would need to be transported by trucks or trains and then sold to the wholesale and retail shops from where these consumers can buy it. And at times it may be necessary to store these godowns. We also may need to talk to others over telephone and send letters or borrow money or from banks to help production and trade. So here in this category, all these things come under. So all these service activities, basically if you want to categorize this activity, it is known as the service activity, from where these manufactured things are transferred to the other parts of the world or other parts of the country. So from where all these consumers can buy it. So it includes the transportation, banking, insurance, etc. falls under these tertiary sectors. So if you want to store also, so transportation, storage, communication, banking, trade, these are some of the examples of these tertiary activities. And this service sector also includes some essential services that may not be directly help in the production of goods. Like for example, we require teachers, doctors, and those who provide personal services such as washermen are there, barbers are there, lawyers, and people who do the administrative and accounting works. So they have their certain services that they are giving, and in recent times certain new services based on information technology such as internet cafe, ATM booths, call centers, software companies, etc. they are becoming very important. So all these service sectors, basically our profession is basically a service sector. People are providing their own services to the institutions, and they are earning their livelihood from that. So all these things come under the tertiary sector. Now all these three sectors are dependent on each other. So how these three are dependent on each other, we study now. So the interdependency of these factors, if you want to know, to understand this interdependency, we can take an example of a cold drink. A cold drink contains water, sugar, and artificial flavor. So if you buy a cold drink, it contains water, it contains sugar, and it contains artificial flavor. And suppose if there is no sugarcane production, then procuring sugar will become difficult and costly for the cool drink manufacturer. So if suppose if there is no sugarcane, if there is no sugarcane production, where the people who are dealing with this cold drink factories, where they are getting the sugar from, so procuring sugar will become difficult and costly for the cold drink and manufacturer. Now to transport these sugar cane to sugar mills and sugar to the cold drink plant needs, the services of a transportator is needed. Then a person or system of persons is required to maintain and monitor all these movements of goods from farm to factory to shop in different locations. So basically a person or system of persons is required to maintain and monitor all these movements of goods which are coming from the primary to secondary and then to the tertiary sectors. So that is where the role of administrative staff comes. So if let us go back to the farmer now, we also need fertilizers and seeds which is processed in some factory and which will be delivered to his doorstep by some means of transportation. To top it all, at every step of activity require the proper monetary and banking system also. So in a nutshell, this describes how interrelated all sectors of an economy are. So if we see, if one sector is not working properly, the other sector will not be able to deliver the required products that should be delivered to the consumers or to the retailers shops. So the transportation is not there, how they are going to transport the material that have been made to the consumers. So that is one of the biggest hinder here. Then if the primary sector, the production is not really well, if like you are planting a lot of products where crops are spoiled in a like you see in the Indian economy also, if the crops are not developing well, they are some maybe because of the weather condition also they droplet a lot of crops from these weather conditions. So the demand of crops are there but we don't have it. So because of that also there can be hindrance. So basically all these three categories are interdependent on each other. Like in this example you can take that the sugar cane is growing, that is the primary sector. Now it is being transporting of the sugar cane is in tertiary sector. When it transported to the factories, the for where it will be manufacturing of this sugar and drink. Then after the final product will be made, and they also need tertiary sectors to transfer it to the consumer. So how these all things are related to each other? If sugar cane is not being produced, the sugar will not be given to the cold drink factories and they will not be able to produce it. If the transportation is not there of this sugar cane to the manufacturing factories, the hindrance will be there. If the manufacturing to the final products, and then after that also the transportation of system is not there, there also will be a hindrance. So they are all dependent on each other. Now the last topic that we are going to cover in this lecture is how do we count the various goods and services and know the total production in each sector. So how can you count the various products and services and know the total production of each sector? So basically if you want to calculate it about how much production has been there in each sector, we only calculate the final production. Only the final goods and services always being calculated here. We are taking an example here. The values of goods and services is used rather than adding the actual number to know the total production. So the value of all the goods and services is used majorly rather than we are adding the actual numbers to know the total production. For example, if we are producing 10,000 kgs of wheat and it is sold of rupees 8 per kg, the value of wheat is 80,000. So we are calculating only the value here. We are not calculating what is the number of the wheat that we are producing here. And the value of, like similarly 5,000 coconuts is at rupees 10 per coconut, which is 50,000. So we will calculate only 50,000. The value of coconut is 50,000. Similarly, the value of goods and services in the three sectors are calculated and then added up. Similarly, all the value of these three goods and services in these three categories we calculated and then we added up to different categories. Now remember, there is one precaution which has to be taken. Not every good that is produced and sold need to be counted. So they are, if we are calculating it, there is not every good that we are producing that we can take it and we can sold it to the consumers. It should not be a part of where we are calculating the total production from each sector, because it makes sense only to include the final goods and services. For example, if you want to take here a farmer who sells wheat to a flour mill for ₹8 per kg, the mill grinds and the wheat and the sells the flour to a biscuit company for ₹10 per kg. So the company uses the flour and things used as sugar and oil to make 4 packets of biscuits, and it sells biscuits to the consumer for 60 rupees, 15 per packet. So here the primary sector has given to the secondary sector for 8 per kg. Then where these biscuit companies, they are manufacturing biscuits basically. So this biscuits company is giving all the products to this wholesale market at 10 per kg. So basically they are giving them 2 rupees more than that, and the company who is basically making these products, they are selling it to the consumers at ₹60, 15 per kg. So the profit they are making from it, the final result of each and every product, we are only calculating that to calculate the total production of each sector, so it can help in the GDPA. This is how it is being calculated. We are only calculating the final value of each good and services to be produced in each sector during a particular year. So what is basically GDP? I just want to tell you the last thing here, which is gross domestic product. So it is interrelated to that only. So here all the goods and services which we are calculating, all the value of these goods and services we are calculating from each sector during a particular year, it provides the total production of the sector for every year, and the sum of the production in the three sectors give us about the gross domestic product of a country, and GDPA shows how big the economy of a country is. So if you all have heard about GDPA, gross domestic product, so basically we calculate it on the value of final goods and services that we are producing from each sector during a particular year. So it is calculated yearly about what is basically the production of each sector we are producing, and the sum of these production in the three categories gives the GDPA to a particular country, and GDPA shows how the big economy of a country is. So the GDPA tells about the economy which is when we calculate it around the world, on which category, on which number we come under. So the GDP calculates our country, our economic value from the entire country. So this is all as a lecture 1. If you have any queries, you can ask in the comment section. I am going to assign you homework as a test from the chapter that we have covered previously, from the rise of nationalism in Europe, and you have to do that in your main notebooks, that test particular. And please do not cheat. Please make sure that your parents are in front of you when you're doing that test, and please be safe at your home, eat healthy food, and take care of your family as well. Thank you so much.